Hi, welcome to the roles we play. I am your DM Charlie, and we'll be discussing in this very first video the basics of D&D or Dungeons and Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons. Now, some of you may have already played before, some of you may haven't. The rules are actually not that complicated. We'll be looking at 3.5 edition. A lot of people right now, I've noticed, are doing 5th edition. I personally don't really care too much for 5th edition or even 4th edition. I've been doing this since I was like 8, so a very long time. And I started off on first edition, 2nd edition, and now I just not that long ago went to the 3.5. I don't really see myself going to 5th edition anytime soon, even though I have in my library, if you will, I call it my library, my bookshelf of all my RPG books. They are things like Vampire the Masquerade, Vampire the Dark Ages, Cyberpunk, Heroes Unlimited, for any of those who know what those are, Werewolf by Night, a lot of those Palladium books, but I have bought some 4th edition books. They were given to me, so I guess I really didn't buy them. The person didn't know that we weren't going to be using that, so they thought they had the right idea. But anyway, we're going to be looking at 3.5. So if you look, one of the first things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to roll your ability scores. And so most people do it one of 3 ways, or basically one of 3 ways. There's a point system that you can use. I don't really use that point system that much. There's also rolling 3d6 and then you re-roll ones. That's another method. That's pretty common. But the most common one is roll 4d6 and drop the lowest one, which means if you roll a 3, 4, 5, and 6, you would drop the 3, and that would give you a total of 15 points that you would put on whatever 6 abilities that you would have, whether it be strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. That's the 6 attributes or abilities scores that you're going to need with your character. Now, it's totally up to you on what kind of character that you do. I personally don't try to limit too much, as long as the players that I am running the game for, they are trying to incorporate it into the story that I've set out, like the campaign. Also, I would like to, I don't really, as long as it makes sense and it's not too out there. You're going to have, if you're a DM, you're going to have, sorry, my camera is autofocusing. You're going to have players, they're going to come up to you with some outrageous character concepts. I'm currently dealing with one right now that wants to be a wild mage, but he wants one of his arms to be all funky looking, and so I had to kind of tweak that and make it to where it worked. Which, by the way, speaking of which, eventually, once this channel grows a little bit and people get more interested in the content that the DM Charlie, put out, we're going to start doing live streams or podcasts, if you will, or whatever it is, of our actual gaming sessions. So, so the people that, watch Critical Role or the Team 4-Star at the Table, that whole thing, we'll be doing that kind of stuff too. I can't guarantee it's going to be, at the same par as them, but I'm going to try my best. I mean, those guys, are masters at their craft, and, I've only recently started becoming a DM here in the last few years. Most of the time, I'm usually just a player, which coincidentally also means that since I love being a player and I don't mind DMing, I usually have my own PC that is an NPC, which is a PC means a player character. An NPC is a non-player character, which usually is ran by the DM. So, player characters are the ones that the players themselves, they will role play. So, whether it be a human, an elf, a half-elf, a dwarf, a halfling, whatever the case may be. I know some of the newer editions, they really go into really doing the whole tiefling thing, and I love the basics. Every once in a while, I'll let a player be a half dragon or a tiefling of some sort, something like that. Like I said, but as long as it makes sense and it fits with the story. Like, you don't want to have a plain touch creature like a tiefling, running around in a group full of humans who they never interact with any other of the demi races, which the demi races are elf, half-elf, halfling, dwarf, anything that's not human would be considered a demi-human race. So what you're going to want to do as a DM, or even as a player, you're going to want to sit down and you're going to want to think about what kind of character concept do you want to have. You can do that before you do your ability rolls, or you can do them after. I generally usually have the concept long before I ever roll. That way I know where to put my ability scores once I roll them. That way I know where to put them. That way I can get the most out of what I need to get, so I can make my character, be the best version of himself. So, the next thing you want to do is, you pick your race. And of course, each race, aside from human, has an addition and a subtraction to some sort of ability score. So you're going to find that maybe, like, elves have bonuses to dexterity, but minuses to constitution. Or, like, dwarves will have a bonus to constitution, but minus to charisma, which means they're just generally not as pretty as the other races. I think halflings, they get bonuses to dexterity and minus to strength, because they're small. They're not meant to be these big giant meat shields that run in there and flip tables. And now you might create a halfling that's able to do that, or you might come across a magical item like a belt of ox strength that grants you that extra strength. But so once you get your ability scores in, you kind of get an idea of what kind of character concept you want. Then you want to go into your race. Once you decide that, then that's when you really can sit down. And I don't even like players really to and now if you're a DM, you can do it however you want, but me personally, I generally just I would rather have the character concept kind of fleshed out a little bit. That way you can go through there when you do the rest, like you do your feats, your skills, if you're a magic user, picking your spells. That way you can go ahead and already get an idea and have it all laid out. That way it just goes smoothly. Now there is a software that you can get called PC Gen, and I'll try to put a link to that website in the description below. And it has 5th edition stuff in it. It's got Pathfinder in it. It's got 3.5. It's designed for you to be able to create your own character without having to write it all on paper. All of us used to have to do a long time ago. But it's a really cool thing. Like I said, I'll put a link to the description. But I just kind of wanted to make this video to kind of get it out there, kind of let you know what's coming up, who we are. So, with all that being said, that is it for now. Stay tuned for more videos. Until then, hey, keep rolling, because that's the roles we play.